Welcome to Sergio Creativity.
Welcome back. Today, we are going to learn about the heartbeat of Finnish grammar. It's called consonant gradation, but I want you to think of it as an accordion. When a Finnish word is relaxed, it's in its strong form. But when we add an ending and the word gets crowded, the consonants in the middle often soften or weaken to make room. Don't try to memorize a list of rules. Just follow the logic. Don't write anything down. Relax. Part 1. The double to single rule. Let's start with the most common change. When you have a double consonant, like two Ks, and you add an ending, one of them usually disappears. Take the word for bag, laukku. Say it for me. Laukku. Good. Now, if you want to say the bags, genitive, we add an N. Because that N crowds the syllable, one K has to leave. Student, how would you say of the bag? Laukun? Exactly. One K dropped out. Laukun. Let's try the same with T. The word for ceiling or roof is katto. If we want to say on the roof, we add the ending la. Student, what happens to those two T's? One of them disappears. Kattola. Perfect logic. Katto becomes kattola. Part 2. The softening rule. P turns into a V. Think of P as a hard pop and V as a soft vibration. Take the word for bread, leipä. If we want to say the breads, plural, we add a T. Student, turn that P into a V and add the T. Leivät. Spot on. Leipä becomes leivät. Now let's try T. In the middle of a word, a single T often softens into a D. Take the word for street, katu. Student, how would you say on the street using the ending la? Katula. Excellent. You softened the T to a D, katula. Part 3. The assimilation rule, the chameleons. Some consonants are like chameleons. They just want to match their neighbors. If you have an N followed by a T, like in the word ranta, beach, and you add an ending, the T disappears and the N just doubles itself. NT becomes NN. Student, if the ending for on is la, how you say on the beach? Rannalla. Perfect. The T was crushed by the crowd and the N took over. Rannalla. What about MP? It softens into MM. The word for warmer is lämpi. If we add a common ending, it becomes lämmin. Let's use the word for forest, metsä. If you have the word soul, henki, wait, let's use a simpler one. Helsinki. It has an NK. In Finnish logic, NK softens into a ringing NG sound. Student, how do you say in Helsinki using the SSA ending? Helsingissa. Great. You can hear that G sound appearing. Helsingissa. Part 4. Verbs follow the same logic. This doesn't just happen to nouns. It happens to verbs when you say I do something. The verb to give is antaa. It has that NT in the middle. The I ending is N. Student, if I is minä and the word gets crowded by the N, what happens to antaa? The NT becomes NN. Annan. Exactly. Minä annan. I give. How about to learn? Oppia. It has two P's. Student, tell me I learn. Minä opin. You dropped the extra P. Perfect. Now, final logic check. I'll give you the strong form. You give me the crowded or weak form with the N of ending. Kuppi, cup. Kupin, dropped a P. Koti, home. Kodin, T became D. Pankki, bank. Pankin, dropped a K.
Hollanti, Holland. Hollandin, NT became NN. Brilliant! You're not memorizing a dictionary, you're learning the physics of the sounds. As long as you remember that crowding a word usually makes it softer, you will understand Finnish gradation. Nähdään pian. See you soon.